Slow sweeping shots through misty jungle canopies, gliding down into swamps where Rager stirs underwater, then cutting upward along rocky ravines where Sarvox coils on ancient stones, emphasizing tense territorial separation. But the jungle was changing. A drought crept over Zendora. Water vanished. Prey disappeared. Small snakes fled. Birds flew north. And suddenly, for the first time ever, Rager and Sarvox were forced toward the same riverbed in search of survival. Word spread among the animals. The anaconda and the serpent king are going to clash. They knew the jungle could fall apart if both monsters fought. The first encounter. One blazing afternoon, a faint rumble slithered through the ground. Monkeys fled to treetops. Wild boars scattered. Parrots screeched warnings. From the east came Rager. Thick as a fallen tree, his emerald scales rippled like polished armor. His eyes burned with steady hunger. His massive body slid through the dried mud with a thunderous weight, crushing branches beneath him. From the west came Sarvox. He was longer, leaner, faster. Sleek black scales, patterns of silver along his spine, and a jaw that could unhinge wider than any known serpent. His forked tongue flicked with sharp energy. They stopped, facing each other across the empty riverbed. Rager's muscles tightened. Sarvox raised his head higher than a man. For a moment, neither spoke. Even the jungle fell silent, as though holding its breath. Then Sarvox hissed, "Leave. This is my hunting path now." Rager's coils tightened. "Your claim means nothing. The river belongs to those strong enough to keep it." A gust of wind passed through the trees. And then, the battle began. The battle shakes the jungle. Sarvox struck first, lightning fast. His jaws snapped toward Rager's neck, but the anaconda whipped his tail, slamming Sarvox sideways into a boulder. Cracks spread across the rock. Sarvox recovered instantly. Before Rager could reposition, the Serpent King launched himself like a spear. His fangs sank into Rager's side. Rager roared, not in pain, but in fury. He twisted, wrapping a massive coil around Sarvox's midsection. The sheer force made nearby trees tremble. Vines snapped. Leaves rained down like green snow. Rager tightened his grip. Sarvox slashed with his tail, striking Rager's eye. The giant flinched, and Sarvox pulled free. Both serpents circled each other, bruised, bleeding, and enraged. Thunder crackled overhead, though the sky was still clear. Animals hiding nearby whispered, "This is only the beginning." Rager launched his full weight forward, his body a rolling avalanche of muscle. Sarvox dodged and slid beneath him, coiling around Rager's belly. He struck upward again, fangs scraping scales, but Rager's skin was too thick to penetrate deeply. The anaconda shifted, trapping Sarvox beneath his coils. He squeezed. This time, Sarvox felt the pressure. Bones popped. Vision blurred. He tried to free himself, but Rager was too strong. Rager hissed, "Submit. Leave the river." Sarvox spat, "Never." With sudden desperation, Sarvox bit deep into the ground, pulling a chunk of sharp stone into his mouth. He whipped his head, slicing Rager's scales with it. Rager recoiled in rage and pain. The Serpent King used this moment to strike again, this time at Rager's jaw. The bite tore skin, and thick blood dripped into the dust. Rager bellowed, shaking the entire forest. This was no ordinary fight. This was a war. Dark clouds gathered overhead at last. Rain began to fall, light at first, then heavier. The earth softened. The old riverbed slowly filled. Rager, more at home in water, slid into the forming pool and vanished beneath the surface. Sarvox hesitated. Then, refusing to appear weak, he followed. The underwater battle was brutal. Rager was in his element. He moved like a shadow, a blur of strength. He wrapped around Sarvox again, dragging him into the deeper part of the pool. Sarvox thrashed wildly. Bubbles burst toward the surface. For a moment, it seemed Rager would win. But Sarvox used a trick he had never used before. He dove deeper and deeper, forcing Rager to follow. At the bottom, Sarvox wedged himself between two large submerged stones. When Rager tightened his coils, Sarvox pushed against the rocks, building pressure. Then, crack! The stones split apart, releasing a shockwave strong enough to loosen Rager's grip. Both serpents surged upward, exploding from the water in a violent spray. Lightning flashed. Rain poured. Their second round continued in the storm. Sarvox, his black scales gleaming like obsidian in the rain, launched himself with his full remaining strength. Rager reared back, ready to crush him once and for all. Their bodies collided in mid-air with a thunderous crash. Sarvox bit Rager's throat. Rager wrapped Sarvox's entire upper body in a chokehold. Both serpents squeezed, bit, tore, and thrashed. The world spun. Trees fell. Boulders shattered. The ground shook. And then, something changed. Rager's grip loosened. Sarvox's fangs slid out. Both serpents collapsed onto the soaked earth, breathing heavily, exhausted beyond anything they had experienced. The rain softened into a gentle drizzle. The jungle exhaled. Minutes passed. Neither serpent moved at first. But then Rager slowly raised his head. He looked at the broken riverbed, the shattered stones, the destroyed trees, the ruined ground. He realized something. If we keep fighting, Rager muttered, there will be nothing left to rule. Sarvox, still catching his breath, replied, then what do you propose? Rager stared at the newly formed pool of water. It was small but growing with the rain. The river will return someday, Rager said. But until then, I will go. I will leave this place. You keep your territory. Sarvox blinked in surprise. You surrender? No, Rager hissed. I choose to survive. Without another word, the giant emerald anaconda turned and began his long journey toward the southern marshes, far from Sarvox's land. Sarvox watched silently. Rager never looked back. And just like that, the great anaconda left the jungle. The rain washed the blood from the ground. Birds returned cautiously. Monkeys whispered that the Serpent King had won. But deep inside, Sarvox knew the truth. It was not victory. It was mercy. And the jungle of Zandora was safer because of it. If you want character prompts or image prompts, Flux/Kling, for this story, just tell me. I will generate them. You said, now.